for example, cannabis currently is in the same classification as heroin, right? Which intuitively doesn't make any sense. And I think we're kind of figuring out now that it does not make sense because there's different rules how, as a company, you can like research a topic then or a schedule to actually move cannabis into a different class. So, what would that actually mean for businesses? So I asked Aras from Avikana on how that actually plays out for the medical side if that finally gets through.
But for us, and I think for medical-oriented companies, the outcome is much more profound. I think this will allow larger healthcare biotech institutions and pharmaceutical companies to enter, to look at it more seriously. This will allow academic and clinical institutions in the United States to now conduct research. This is a major limiting factor for the United States until this rescheduling takes place, and that's why Canada has been so far ahead. We've been able to conduct the studies and generate data, which we use for various reasons, from patents to clinical guidelines to actual supplementary information for clinical development. So I think the U.S. rescheduling will give a more of a boost to the medical side, and I hope that it creates more of a separation between the recreational and the medical side, because there is indications there's at least they alluded to the need for real world evidence studies. Last week we published in the Canadian Journal of Pain a major study related to real world evidence study results in Canada. They alluded to insurance coverage with Medicare, which is really exciting for Americans, but we've been doing this in Canada. Again, we do insurance adjudication.
So Canadians are literally with Avikana 10 years ahead of where the United States of America are, just because of the legal classification on how you're allowed to deal with that. They've got the clinical trials, the real life data and everything. And so once the US opens up, I think it's kind of obvious like to whom companies are gonna reach out to once those products and that knowledge actually can be get into that market.